So it's Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. I'd like to be joined by my good friend, super-welterweight Michael Hennessy Jr. Michael, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Danny. Bit tired. It's been a long, hard week, but I'm good.
Does it make it easier to get motivated for training when you've got what some people would call a grudge match coming up against Harley Benn?
Oh, definitely. This is the most motivated I've been for a fight since I've turned professional. It's a real grudge match. The dislike is real, and it's going to bring the best out of me October 21st. This is going to be my best performance as a pro by far.
Of course, on the big Buatsi Aziz card, you're not really the type of guy who tends to get into beef and animosity. What is it about Harley Benn that's brought this side of you out?
Well, I just don't like the guy. We had an altercation when I went over to his gym sparring. He was very rude and he was extremely disrespectful during the spar, talking rubbish, even though he was getting his ass handed to him. And then he said something rude to my dad in the last round as well, like told him to shut up. So it all kicked off there. And then yeah, there's been a strong dislike. It got calmed down that day, like everyone got involved and stopped anything going further. But there's been a bitter taste in my mouth since that day. And yeah, ever since we offered the fight, he's just been just extremely disrespectful, not only to myself in interviews, but about my dad's, about Brad's, and I can't wait to expose him on fight night and make him pay for it.
Where do you think it all comes from? Simply that you getting the better of him in one sparring session, or do you think the stuff's built up before then in his mind at least?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. Like, I went down the gym, his gym, just for sparring. Never met him before. I could sense something was immediately off. Didn't like say hello or anything. Just got my stuff on, got ready for sparring. Um, yeah, I got in the ring and I was peppering him, and all of a sudden he starts talking shit to me, like in the spar. So I start giving it back to him. Come back to my corner, and my dad and my trainer at the time said, like, Mike, like, don't get involved in all that. Just focus on boxing his head off. So I took the instructions, but he kept talking rubbish. And then in the last round, he was holding on for dear life. Um, and my dad said, like, he can't bite his tongue. He said, all that shit talk, and now you're holding on for dear life. Like, be a man and spar him. And that's when he said, told my dad to shut the fuck up. And that's when it all kicked off. But I don't know where all that came from. He said in on an Instagram thing, like he said the week before or a few days before when I was down there, I chucked a lad on the floor and called him a pagan, which is basically a lie. I did chuck a lad on the floor because, with sparring, he just kept holding me while I'm trying to spar, and he was getting up close, holding me the whole time and hit me round the back of the head. So I chucked the lad on the floor, like he was an undefeated prospect as well. He's not a mug, and said, stop holding, and that was that. Um, but he's lying, saying that I chucked a lad on the floor and called him a pagan. I've never said the word pagan in my life. Like I literally had to look it up
I
after he
think
said.
that's more top boy than
Yeah, like my nickname's the choir boy, for goodness sake. I don't try and be some little plastic gangster like him. I'm a choir, but he's gonna get punched up by the choir boy.
We'll see about that on October the 21st. You mentioned Brad there. Obviously, talk about Bradley Skeet, your trainer. This will be your third fight together now. Just tell us
Yes.
how you guys first hooked up together and what he's brought to your game.
Me and Brad, so we started working together probably last end of October, November sort of time, start of November. Not long before my first fight with him. Um, I didn't have a trainer at the time. I was sparring down the gym, and he was in the opposite corner. And my dad heard a few instructions he was giving to the lad I was sparring, and he was really impressed. So he spoke to Brad and said, "Look, would you mind doing a bit of work with Michael?" And he said, "Of course." Like, so I started doing a few sessions with him, and we really liked what we saw. I felt like I was like new to the game again. I was learning so much every session, and it just went from there really because I feel like me and Brad, not only are we had similar styles, like very loose and relaxed, and with similar personalities as well, and we gel really well together and have a good time, and we enjoy training. Um, but the one thing Brad brings to the table, which I need, is to try and be a bit slicker and move my head a little bit more on my feet and not get involved in a tear up as much because I'm tall and rangy. So I'd say that's the main thing Brad's for is just that slickness and not getting hit as much.
How much of a factor is it, if at all, that he's been there and done it? You know, British champion, kept the Lonsdale belt, Commonwealth world number one at one point as well.
That's a massive factor. It gives me a lot of confidence when he's giving me instructions in the corner because I know he's been there and done it. I know he knows that feeling, when it's getting tough and you're getting in the later rounds. And he understands that sometimes, I need a round off or whatever to regroup and then push on again and things like that. It gives me great confidence in the instructions he's given. So yes, I'm very blessed to have him in my corner, and I think he's going to be a really, really great trainer, not just for myself, but for other fighters in future.
Have your ambitions changed at all since you started working with Brad compared to when you were with your old team, or when you didn't have a trainer?
They have. I do feel I feel like in a lot better place now, and that's not putting anything on previous trainers or whatever. I feel like I'm in a great place mentally and physically, and of course, having that experience by my side in Brad is, it's only going to help, of course. But yeah, I'm not pinning blames on previous trainers or whatever because ultimately it's down to myself. Um, and I think Brad is bringing the best out of me as well.
You talked about your dad earlier. I'm obviously a big fan of Mick. And how have you found people in boxing's reception to you? I mean, I'm guessing it's given you plenty of opportunities, but the flip side, maybe it's been a bit of a burden at times. What's your experience?
Yeah, I agree. Like I say, it's things like that that help. Having my name is a blessing in some ways, like getting on this massive card, Buatsi Aziz. Of course, it helps that it's a grudge match, but it does open doors. But at the same time, I am under a microscope, and people criticize every single little move I'm making.
Hmm.
Um, so it's hard to sort of go under the radar as much with the name. And of course, you get a lot of clout chasers calling you out and stuff. And when your team's trying to bring you along at the right pace and whatever. But yeah, ultimately, I'm just focused on myself. I'm listening to my team. I'm letting them guide me correctly because like my dad's been in the game a long time. He knows what he's doing. So I'm just focused on the fighting, and I let my dad deal with that side.
And your sole defeat, of course, was to Jamie Stewart. At the time, it was a big upset, but he's since gone on to get some good results. The draw with Marku, most recently with Ray Moylett as well. Has that kind of been a bit of a boost for you in that he's shown that he's not a one trick or one night fighter? He's gone on to have some good form.
Yeah, of course it helps that he went on to do well. Like, I was only a kid at the time. I don't want to make excuses, but I wasn't right. There was a lot going wrong, but we had a close fight. I thought I edged it to be honest, but it was a close fight. He got the win, and of course, like I would much rather he went on to do well than
Hmm.
go and fail. Like the fight with Marku was literally a month or two after the fight with me, and I was a 20-year-old kid, so yeah, it's much better. It's much better that he's gone on to do well, and I think like not many kids my age would have like taken fights like that. So
I think that was a bit of opportunism, the fight with Marku straight after, because I remember at the time he'd come off the result against you, and I think they thought, well, we'll stop him quickly and it will look good as a kind of comparison, but it didn't really work out that way.
no, I didn't. Yeah, he done really well. Like he gave Marco a great fight. I know a few people thought Marco won it, but it was a good fight. Like
It
he
was a
done
close
well.
fight nonetheless.
Yeah.
Um, you've recently seen your sister join you under Brad's tutelage. Nothing new for you, I suppose. You guys have been working together, you and your sister, your whole lives, of course. But what's it like having her day to day now in the gym under Brad?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like me and my sister now, she's professional. Like we're on the same schedule. We're pushing each other day in, day out. And truthfully, it's hard to keep up with her. Like there's a great buzz in the gym. Me, Fran, and Brad, we're incredibly close. My dad's there a lot as well. And it's a great vibe, and we push each other on every day. Under the watchful eye of Brad. But like I say, Fran, she is something else. She's all gas, no brakes. I try and keep up, but I really have to try and pull the reins in with her sometimes because, like I say, she just wants to work, work, work. Her one downside is she doesn't really work on her recovery. It's all like it's all just all go. But I suppose that's one of the reasons she's doing so well. She's got this burning desire inside of her to do well and do great things. She really wants to become like an undisputed world champion, like at a young age. Um, she wants to achieve great things. And if, for example, she had her last spar on Wednesday, she was meant to do 6 rounds, ends up doing 10 at a blistering pace.
How did the sparring partner feel about that?
Oh, the sparring partner was game. She was fit and
Oh.
strong. So, but like it was a blistering pace. They put the boys to shame. I'm not gonna lie. I was sparring shortly after. I was thinking, how am I gonna compete with this? Like,
Do you guys ever spar each other?
me and Fran,
Yeah.
no, never. Like that, obviously I'm a lot bigger and
Yeah.
older, and don't get me wrong,
Like not even tech sparring or anything.
we have done in the past, but where the size difference is so much.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll body spar messing around at home and stuff, and yeah, we don't properly spar because I don't want to get too many injuries.
And she said when I spoke to her and Brad a couple of weeks ago, it can be quite competitive. Obviously, your brother and sister, there's always going to be a rivalry anyway. But is that helping drive you both on, do you think?
Well, definitely, because one day if I'm in the gym slacking, like feeling tired, but I see her pushing on, pushing through it, it motivates me to carry on and push through that barrier because I know if she can do it, I can do it, and likewise, if I can do it, she can do it. So we are competitive, but that brings the best out of each other, and ultimately it's just love, really. Like we both want each other to succeed so bad, and we drive each other on.
And she said I think Brad was saying he wouldn't commit to who the favourite was in the gym, but you think it's her, right?
It's 100% her. Yeah, it's like he knows. There is definitely favoritism towards Fran. He calls
How
her.
has that happened? Because you were there with him for longer.
I know, but look at all the buzz she's causing. She's his $1 billion baby. It's hard to compete with. I don't blame him. I don't blame him, to be honest with you.
Maybe if you get that highlight reel win over Ben on October the 21st, that'll change at least temporarily.
Maybe he'll change his tune for a bit, but we have a little joke in the gym. Fran's his $1 billion baby, and I'm his $50 baby.
At least you're still his baby, I suppose.
I'm still his baby, yeah.
Take the positives. All right, before I let you go, just remind people how they can find you on the different social media platforms, just so they can get to know you a bit better.
Oh, wicked. Cheers, Danny. For everyone, please follow me at Hennessy Jr. either on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you for supporting.
Great stuff. All right. Well, yeah, best of luck on the 21st. I'm looking forward to the fight and the card as a whole, to be honest. And yeah, see you soon.
Thanks a lot, Danny. See you soon, mate.